Countryside, it's Joe Smith, your general manager, and it is the beginning of May. It's been a while since I've done a video update for the community, and I thought as we're coming up on the summer months, transitioning to some new schedules, residents are leaving, this was a good opportunity to provide you with a couple updates. And primarily I really want to focus today on the results of the annual survey, which I provided in my May-June newsletter article, but there was a lot of information in there, so I wanted to update the community on video. But first off, just a couple of reminders. We have transitioned to our summer operating schedule, so the club is closed on Mondays, and you may have seen some recent emails. We have expanded the food and beverage schedule versus years past based on some member requests. So we're going to monitor that on a go-forward basis. Essentially on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, we're keeping the bar open until 4 p.m. versus 2 p.m. so we can capture some activity in the afternoons. So please, if you're around, we look forward to you supporting the club. And then also Chef Jay and the food and beverage team, they've rolled out some new summer menus that are going to carry us through the next few months here. So if you're around the club, please come in and try some of Jay's new menus. A few other updates. We are going to have summer board meetings this year. Those will all be virtual as our board of directors, like many of our residents, are out of town. So those dates will be announced through the summer months along with agendas as our normal procedure. We will have Zoom meeting attendance available, so if you're anywhere in the country or out of the country and you want to chime into those board meetings, you'll be able to do that. So keep an eye on your email for those. We do have some exciting projects planned for the summer. We're going to do some updates and rehab to our maintenance facility, our golf course maintenance facility. JD and his team are in need of some attention down there. The building's very old. We have a lot of new equipment, and most importantly, we've got a lot of dedicated employees that work down there, and the summer months is the most difficult time of year because they are out in the heat all day, and we want to offer them a good area to come in, cool off, and enjoy being employees here at Countryside. So we're going to roll out a pretty extensive update project that's going to encompass the entire maintenance facility. And along with that, the community is going to get a series of updates on the project. So you'll get to see some drone footage, and you'll receive some regular updates from JD on the progress of that, and you'll kind of see what's occurring down there. So the community had such a good response to the regular videos we did related to the golf course project. We're going to do a similar process with that project as well down at the maintenance facility. In addition to that, we'll have our normal maintenance program on the golf course this summer with aerifications and verticutting and top dressing, and we'll be addressing some drainage. So you'll be getting some video updates related to those projects as well. To sum all that up, keep an eye on your emails because we're going to communicate a lot this summer as we normally do. That being said, I would like to share with you a little bit more detail and narrative related to our annual survey results. At our board workshop we held in April, I provided a PowerPoint presentation to the board. That workshop was open to the community, but we really didn't have too many people attend that, so I thought this was a good opportunity to share that presentation with the community and provide a little bit more detail than what I included in the May-June newsletter article. As always, if you have questions on any of this, feel free to contact me. Our survey is open for your review. I just ask that residents reach out to me, schedule some time if you want to review any of the survey in more detail than what I'm going to provide to you here. So we'll jump right into it. I've got a PowerPoint that's going to follow this, and hope you enjoy. So just an overview on the survey. We released the survey on Monday, March 1st, and it stayed open for 2 weeks. We closed it on Sunday, March 14th. And last year, 2019-2020, we received 774 responses. This year, we received 537 responses. So this was down a little bit from previous years, but that's really attributed to many of our residents not being back this past season. That all said, we survey on a routine basis through our random pulse surveys that are sent out via email. All that feedback we collect is extremely important, and we're reviewing that through the year. This survey is also extremely important and probably one of our most important data points that we use to measure our progress on an annual basis. And our entire management team uses this survey. We use it to assess and evaluate programs and services. We develop long-term strategies and asset allocation from it. We make recommendations to the board for policy changes, and this is really how we benchmark ourselves year over year. We typically go off-site in the summer in a retreat type format to review the results of the survey and really talk in detail about the comments received, and kind of the trends that our survey shows on an annual basis. So this was a slide that I included in the May newsletter. This is our overall member satisfaction scores year over year for each department. Our most recent year, 2020, 2021, is in the dark green here. And these are very, very good scores on a scale of 1 to 5. You can see nearly every department either was flat or showed a upward trend or perhaps a slight decline. Wellness, for example, here went from a 4.5 to a 4.3, a very small decline. Anything over a 3.5 on this chart is very good, and you can see that all of our departments performed over 4.0. Really want to call attention to food and beverage overall satisfaction. This is the highest score that this department has received in the history of this survey. I went back and I pulled these survey results all the way to 2012, 2013, and it's always hovered around 3.4 to 3.78 or so. And to see a jump from 3.76 to 4.0 is very encouraging, and that team has just done a great job this season. All of our teams did a great job, all of our departments. It was a very challenging year. I'm sure you'll all agree with that. But really, these are very encouraging results on an overall basis. The other metric that we started looking at last year was our Net Promoter Score. And the Net Promoter Score is a pretty standard metric that the service industry uses, which basically judges an operation on how likely its customers or members are to recommend. And when you think about a club or a gated community, this is a very important metric, specifically in the real estate realm or the membership realm, because how many of our existing residents or members are recommended by another resident or member? Quite a few. Specifically in Countryside, that trend holds true. This is a sliding scale from -100 to +100, and it's rated on a 1 to 10 basis. And essentially what this metric tells us is if you are your members that rate you on a 9 to 10, very likely to recommend, are your promoters. Those that rate you a 7 to 8 are your passive members. They're not overly ecstatic with the experience, but they're certainly not upset with the experience. And then anyone that rates you a 6 or below are your detractors. They're really the ones that have had poor experiences in the operation, and you really got to put a lot of focus onto that category of customer or member, because we really want to improve those and move them into the 9 or 10 category. The rating, the Net Promoter Score, which last year was a 61, is essentially the difference between your promoters and your detractors on a percentage basis. So last year was a 61. This year for 2021 was a 65. So we saw an increase in that. And so what does that mean? What's a good NPS score? Well, this is a chart that shows some service industry standards, and you can see that anything within a 30 to a 70 range is great, and that's where we fall. 70 to 100 is excellent. So again, 61 you might be thinking, or 65 rather, you might be thinking, well, that's not a great score. Well, on this chart, when we're measuring minus 100 to plus 100, 65 falls into this great category. So we're very pleased with that. Essentially, that's the percentage of members who are highly likely to recommend Countryside, their experience at Countryside, to someone else outside the community. We measure this on an annual basis, like I've shown here, and then we measure this on a weekly basis as well through our random pulse surveys. And those pulse surveys are hovering right around a 70 to 71%, which is, again, a really great score for us. So we're moving in the right direction. This chart, I'd like to dive into a little bit more detail specific to food and beverage. So within each department on the annual survey, we survey some specific categories within that department. I have a similar chart for all the other departments. Again, if you're interested in seeing that, just schedule some time with me. But I'd like to look at food and beverage specifically because that department has seen the largest jump in overall satisfaction, and it's a department that we've struggled in over the years. That being said, we survey specifically on promptness of service, courteous staff, menu variety, food quality, hours of operation, host or hostess service, online reservations, and in-person reservations. And you can see 2020, 2021 is in the dark green, and we have shown, I should say, you have rated the department, all these categories, an increase in your experience over the past year. We've seen a jump here in promptness of service from 3.89 to 4.01. This courteous staff was flat at 4.6. Big jump in menu variety from 3.7 to 3.9. Food quality, another jump to 4.0. Hours of operation, a jump, 4.0. Hostess service, a jump, 4.4. And this trend holds true for the experience with reservations. Again, very encouraging scores provided by our membership. One area that we always like to focus on every single year is menu variety. Again, 3.9 is not a low score by any means on a scale of 5, and seeing the increase in that from previous years is very encouraging, but it is historically a category that's always slightly lower than some of the other categories. So when we start to dissect these survey results, this is an exercise that we go through, and we kind of pinpoint something like menu variety, and we start to dive into it in a little bit more detail based on what we're offering actually and what we may do in the future. So as an example with that, we look at this past year and what we had in terms of menu variety. And this was a good year to look at this because we truly only had menus available. We did not have any special events, concerts. It was truly an a la carte operation, which really helps us understand the question, menu variety. So this past year, we kind of started dissecting all of our menu offerings through 2020 and 2021. And this is what we came up with when we looked at the variety of items on our menus. We have our lunch menu, 4 changes per year, 20 plus items. Our dinner menu, 4 changes per year, 28 items. We had our bar menu, which includes items from all of our other menus. The brunch menu was a la carte this year, 14 items, and we had some crossover from our lunch menu on this. In addition, we had 3 dinner specials a week, which provided 12 additional menu items per month. And then we introduced the various baked breads, which were complimentary at dinner services, and those changed on a routine basis, and we prepared all those in-house. And then in addition to that, we had prime rib on Wednesdays and Saturdays, we had Friday fish fry, and then our Market Wednesdays, which were a big hit this year, and certainly we expect that to continue into next season. When we look at this, we see an awful lot of variety here. However, one of the things we dialed into that we're going to implement for next year is the timing of our menu changes. Again, historically we've offered 3 menu changes a year. We added a 4th one, but when we looked at the timing of those, only one of those menu changes occurred in season, which again, that's when a bulk of our activity happens. So this is like one of the exercises that we go through when we dissect these surveys, and we've come to, one of the early changes we're going to make going into next season is we're going to shift the timing of our menu changes so that 2 of those occur in our seasonal months, 2 of those occur out of season. So still 4 per year, but it will give a little bit more variety in the height of season. As we dive into this a little bit more, we may come up with some more ideas or adjustments that'll improve menu variety. Kind of the same chart specific to golf operations and golf maintenance on overall satisfaction. These are the specific categories that we surveyed on within these 2 departments. You see some gaps in years here because for whatever reason we didn't survey on these areas in certain years. Cart fleet, for example, we only surveyed last year because it was a new cart fleet. But overall, very encouraging scores here. Nearly everything is a 4.0 or higher. Again, very encouraging as we look at the results from this past season. We saw a little drop here in some of this activity, and based on some of the comments, I believe some of it's related to just accessibility through the pandemic, having the golf shop closed for a period of time. So we think we can increase that as we go into next season, return to some level of normalcy. But overall, very happy with these survey scores. So the last chart I want to share with you all is we asked the community, when do you plan to return to Countryside for the 2021-2022 season? This again is a very important chart for us as we plan the fall and into the first quarter of 2022. Last year this was it was abnormal for us. This is indicating that we're returning back to some level of normalcy. You all indicated that 36% will be returning in October, which is rather normal for us, with the balance trickling in November, December, and January. Last year, very few members returned in October, November, or December, and we started to see an influx in January and February, all related to the pandemic. Again, this is a really important metric that we look at on an annual basis because it truly helps us plan our staffing, our programs, events, and overall levels of activity. And again, another important metric we pull from this chart is our percentage of year-round residents, and this is pretty much on trend. On a regular basis, annually, it's about 20% of the community indicate that they are here 12 months of the year, with the 80% indicating they are elsewhere during the summer months. So really important data that we continue to capture. And that said, I hope that provides a little bit more detail for you related to the annual survey. This feedback that you provide us is so important to us, and I can't stress that enough. I mean, your leadership team is going to spend the next several months dissecting this data, and once we get to the end of summer, it's not like we put it in a folder and stick it up on a shelf. We are referring to this through season and on an ongoing basis. And then when we do next year's survey, we're looking back and doing comparisons to see how we've improved or declined in certain areas. So again, I can't thank the community enough for taking the time to complete this survey on a regular basis. As always, if you're interested in reviewing any part of the annual survey in more detail, all you have to do is send me a note. We could even do it over a Zoom call if you're interested in doing that. There's a boatload of information that you all have provided to us, and again, it really helps us perform and deliver the experience that you all are expecting when you're here. So that being said, appreciate everyone watching. Appreciate your support. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. The past 18 months have been really difficult for you all as for us, but we're going to come out on the other side, and we've got an exciting year ahead of us. Keep an eye on your emails, because we are going to get back in the routine of regular updates through the summer, and we're going to keep everyone informed of what's going on here at the club. Wish you all a great summer. We're here. For those of you that are here locally, I look forward to seeing you around the club. And for those of you who are back home, I hope you all have a great summer. Thanks again.